So now Dempsey is looking at her in a totally different light because she's just like, okay, so you're accusing me of cheating because you were a cheater in your past. Okay, very interesting. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video. So today we're going to be diving into Statler and Dempsey. I'm going to be doing my best to give a little bit of an analysis, more so into just their relationship instead of a whole full-blown recap on all the other couples. I just really wanted to do a video dedicated to Statler and Dempsey because I've been seeing a lot of red flags that I want to discuss, especially when it comes to them. And I kind of spoke about one in particular, but there's so many others that I've seen since I've done that video. So let's dive right into it. So Statler is 33, she's from Texas, and Dempsey is 28 and she is from England. So in the 90-day fiance, before the 90 days, we've been seeing how Statler has been interacting with Dempsey since she landed in England to visit Dempsey, and things have just been kind of going in a different direction from what I think Statler was imagining when she first landed. So it seems as though from the first night that they actually slept together in Dempsey's camper or trailer, whatever you want to call it, but they ended up basically having sex, okay? And you could definitely see that Dempsey wasn't really the type to give it up on the first night, even though, you know, like Statler says, they've been talking for months and they kind of technically know each other for months. This is the first time that they actually get to see each other in person, so it's something that you kind of have to get used to and warm up to. So it's kind of like you're learning a person all over again, even though you guys have technically been talking. So I just think that it was a little off-putting that Statler was super excited, but you could tell that Dempsey was a little bit more on the shy side about it, and you could definitely see that she was kind of like, should I? And then, you know, she kind of like told herself that she probably should, maybe. So I just didn't really feel like she was really fully comfortable with the idea of actually sharing herself in that way intimately with Statler just yet, but she felt as though she needed to. So I'm wondering if she felt pressure to do so, because if that was the case, I'm kind of worried about that. So that was kind of red flag number one. Red flag number two was when they decided to cook with each other. And Statler brings up the fact that when Dempsey was in Thailand traveling, that she wasn't really doing a good job with actually communicating with Statler and getting back to her on like what was going on, what she was up to, where she was, all that type of stuff. So Statler brings that up to Dempsey and she said that she felt as though she could have done better with communication, and Dempsey agreed. But Statler goes on to say that she thought that because of the bad communication, that it meant that Dempsey was cheating on her. And obviously I'm looking at Statler the same way that Dempsey is clearly looking at Statler in that episode, super confused and trying to figure out like, where did you get this? You know, where did you get this idea from that I was cheating on you? Like, really? But anyways, so either way, we get into a little bit of a discussion about those feelings, and it eventually comes up that Statler had actually cheated on a partner in the past in a previous relationship. So now Dempsey is looking at her in a totally different light because she's just like, okay, so you're accusing me of cheating because you were a cheater in your past. Okay, very interesting. That was another red flag. The fact that Statler was a cheater, and she was also thinking that because Dempsey wasn't communicating with her, even though she was in a whole other country, you know, we're just not gonna acknowledge that, but she wasn't really communicating with Statler, and because of that, she automatically thinks that Dempsey is cheating on her. So there's a little bit of insecurity there. Okay, well, not a little bit, quite a lot actually. So red flag number two. Then we get to Valentine's Day, and Statler is trying to go all out for Dempsey. Dempsey goes out for work, and Statler wakes up pretty early to try and plan everything. She gets a rose and she puts it in the middle of the field that the camper is on, and she leaves a note by the rose to kind of give her hints, or give Dempsey some hints about where to go and where to meet Statler. So they have this little campfire, and obviously it's giving romantic vibes. Dempsey's enjoying herself, and she is feeling appreciated because she feels as though in her past relationships she wasn't really given this same treatment. So she's happy that Statler was finally able to give that experience to her. So what gets me is that Statler uses this opportunity this romantic night now. She uses this as an opportunity to tell Dempsey that her lease is going to be up for her apartment back in Texas, and she is planning on moving to England, basically to live with Dempsey in her camper. And I'm like, okay, that's something you should be discussing before you actually take the leap to go to the country and visit this significant other of yours. You know what I mean? That's definitely something that you want to communicate with her. That definitely leaves Dempsey kind of flabbergasted and in a state of like shock and trying to think everything through. Another thing that comes up, because, you know, obviously Dempsey's already thinking that Statler is moving way too fast. And I kind of thought that from the beginning, because that first red flag that I mentioned about Statler obviously being very ready to be intimate with Dempsey, and Dempsey wasn't really ready, but she kind of pushed herself to be ready so that she could please Statler. That was a red flag, you know? And I think that the fact that Statler kind of wanted it is kind of, again, showing you how Statler tends to move too fast. What I find interesting, though, is that one of Statler's friends even said that Statler tends to move really fast in relationships, sometimes too fast to the point where she scares people off. And I think that's kind of what's happening, again, with Dempsey. While they're at the campfire, obviously, she already tells Dempsey about the whole wanting to move in with her thing. But another thing that becomes a problem now is Statler's ex, who is also from England as well. And it looks hella weird that you visited her also in England. So that's not your first time coming to England to visit a lover, okay? So already it's not that special. It's now not your first time coming to this country. And on top of that, it's to visit another English girlfriend of yours. What is looking bad about this situation is the fact that that ex decided to reach out to Statler and ask her if she wanted her to pick her up from the airport. And I'm like, wait a minute, why does she even know that you're in England? Why do y'all still have contact? And for those people who, you know, still want to be friends and stay in contact with their exes, I personally think that's weird. I'm not gonna lie, because it kind of gives me that feeling of either you never loved them or never really took them seriously and only really saw them as a friend, but y'all became like a thing anyway, or you still are in love with them. It's one of those two things for me. If you are trying to stay friends with an ex, it has to be one of those two things in my mind. But obviously you guys could think otherwise, but I think that's hella problematic when you're still staying in contact with an ex and you're already coming to this country to meet with your current girlfriend. It just looks very funny. It's a very funny looking situation, especially since Statler already admitted to being a cheater in her past relationships. It's not a good look, and it would put me on edge. I'm not even gonna lie, it would definitely put me on edge if I was Dempsey and in Dempsey's shoes. So the fact that Dempsey kind of walked away from that situation a little peeved is understandable, totally understandable. You could tell she's uncomfortable with that situation with Statler and her ex. Next morning, Dempsey just kind of leaves, and it's really awkward. They don't really talk until Dempsey comes back, and they finally have that talk about everything, and you could really see it's just super awkward. I mean, even though they have admitted that they're both awkward people, it's just more of an awkward situation to be in. It's not really even a matter of y'all just look awkward together. No, like, this is really kind of tense. You could tell that Dempsey is trying to figure out a way to navigate this situation, but Statler, I think, needs to understand that she's just moving way too fast for Dempsey, okay? Way too fast. And I think also that Dempsey shouldn't really even consider Statler moving in. I hope she doesn't, okay? Even if Statler really wants to, I don't think that's something that they should do right now. I really don't. And I just hope that Statler goes back to the US, figures out her ish, because I think that she uses obviously her background with being adopted as a way to manipulate people, and in particular manipulate Dempsey in this conversation, because she brings it up and she's just like, well, you know, I feel as though people don't want me, and kind of stems from that. But at the same time, even if that's the case for you, you shouldn't be pushing people to do things, you know what I mean, to kind of prove that they want you. It just doesn't look good, and it looks as though you're using your adoption as a means to manipulate Dempsey into letting you stay here with her in England. It just doesn't look good, and I just feel bad for Statler, obviously, because of that situation, but at the same time, I don't think she should be using that as a means to get people to do whatever she wants them to. So Even though, yes, Statler is a romantic and she likes to kind of rush into things, it's cute at the beginning. But after a while, it's just kind of like annoying to watch as the viewer. I'm not gonna lie. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. But I really do hope that Statler talks to someone about this, because clearly you could tell it's something that still hurts her and that she still carries around. But yeah, I think that she would definitely need to talk to somebody about this for sure, so that this doesn't infiltrate other portions of her life. But let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.